Are you feeling totally overwhelmed at work? You know, that feeling like your to-do list is some kind of monster that just keeps growing no matter what you do? Well, you are definitely not alone. But what if I told you the secret to getting ahead wasn't some massive, heroic effort, but something much, much smaller? We're about to break down a super powerful framework called Observe and Implement, and it's all about turning these tiny, consistent actions into huge successes, transforming that professional chaos into calm, focused progress.
Let's just start with a number that might feel a little uncomfortably familiar. A staggering 77% of professionals have felt burnout at their current job. And look, this isn't just about having a bad week. This is a full-blown crisis. It tells us one thing, loud and clear. The old model of just working harder is completely broken.
So, what's the solution then? Well, this quote from author Cal Newport, it points us in exactly the right direction. See, the antidote to burnout isn't just about working fewer hours, it's about having better structure. The difference in output between a focused 40-hour week and a chaotic 60-plus-hour week is just massive. It's not about more effort, it's about the quality of that effort. And that idea right there is the key.
Okay, so let's officially frame the problem here. We're calling this the overwhelm epidemic. And it's so important to see this not as some kind of personal failure to keep up, but as a systemic issue that's just baked into the way we work today.
And this epidemic is not happening in a vacuum. I mean, just take a look at these numbers. In healthcare, you've got a 52% burnout rate. Tech is right behind them at 48%, and education is at 45%. So whether you're in a hospital, a startup, or a classroom, the pressure is real, it's universal, and the results are pretty damaging.
So this forces us to ask a really crucial question. If working harder is actually making things worse, what's the alternative? How do we get our focus and our well-being back? It's time to pivot away from the problem and toward a powerful science-backed solution.
And that brings us to the science of tiny wins. We're going to dig into the behavioral models that explain exactly why those huge, ambitious goals we set for ourselves so often fail, and why starting small is actually the most effective way to create lasting change.
Okay, at the heart of all this is a model from Stanford researcher B.J. Fogg, and it's this really elegant formula, B equals MAP. It means for any behavior to happen, you need three things to all line up at the exact same time: the motivation to do it, the ability to do it, and a prompt to trigger it. If even one of those is missing, nope, the behavior just won't happen.
And this chart shows that relationship perfectly. You see that blue curve? That's the action line. If a task is really difficult, way over on the left side of the chart, it requires an incredibly high level of motivation to actually get done. And this, right here, is where we almost always go wrong. We don't fail because we're lazy. We fail because we try to do really hard things when our motivation is naturally low. We're basically setting ourselves up to fail from the start.
And this right here leads us to the core secret of this whole method. Instead of trying to constantly pump up our motivation, which, let's be honest, is totally fickle and unreliable, we should focus on the other side of the equation, ability. Make the behavior so simple, so incredibly easy that it requires almost zero motivation to get it done. That is the game changer.
All right, now that we understand the science behind it, let's build our toolkit. These are real, practical strategies you can use to put the science of tiny wins into action, both at work and in life. First up is author James Clear's 2-minute rule. And the idea is, well, it's brilliant in its simplicity. Any new habit you want to start, you have to scale it down so it takes less than 2 minutes to do. So read before bed becomes read one page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. The goal isn't the full workout. The goal is to master the art of just starting. The first 2 minutes are everything.
Next up is habit stacking. This technique is all about leverage. You start by identifying a really solid habit you already have, something you do without even thinking, like pouring your morning coffee. That action is already wired into your brain, so you just stack your new tiny habit right on top of it. For example, after I pour my coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. You're basically piggybacking the new habit onto an old one, making it feel almost automatic.
So we've got our tools, the 2-minute rule and habit stacking. Now let's apply them where all the burnout is happening, the workplace. This is where our core framework really comes into play. Observe and implement. It's a simple 2-step process. First, you observe a frustration or an opportunity in your workday. Second, you implement a tiny habit to address it. That's it.
Let's get practical. Here's a classic example. The observation, your inbox is a constant source of stress. The implementation, a tiny habit called the one-touch rule. The moment you open an email, you make a decision right then and there.
Do it, delay it, delete it, or delegate it. No more letting it just sit there. It's a simple system that stops that digital monster from growing in the first place.
Okay, here's another one, and this is more about team culture. The observation, you feel kind of disconnected from your colleagues. The implementation, a tiny 2-minute action. Every day, send just one quick message recognizing a colleague's effort. It's like making a small deposit into the team morale bank that over time can totally transform the entire work environment.
And honestly, the possibilities here are endless. Here are a few more high-impact ideas you can start using right away. A shutdown ritual to create a clear boundary between work and life. Or how about this one? Planning your top 3 priorities before you even open your email. See, these aren't massive overhauls. They're small, strategic tweaks that add up over time to create a much more productive and less stressful day.
So, we've covered the problem, we've covered the science, and we've got the tools. Now comes the most important part of all, actually taking action. It all starts with one small step.
This brings us to a concept that is absolutely crucial: success momentum. You see, lasting change isn't built on the size of your wins, it's built on the frequency of your wins. Every single time you complete a tiny habit, reading that one page, sending that one thank you note, your brain registers a small victory. And that feeling, it builds real confidence and motivation, creating this positive feedback loop that makes the next action even easier. You know, this means we have to fundamentally rewire our whole approach to change. We're taught to power through failure and feel bad about not doing enough. But the science shows the exact opposite is true. It's positive emotions that lock habits into place. BJ Fogg actually calls this feeling shine. By celebrating your tiny wins, even just with a little mental fist pump, you're telling your brain, hey, that felt good, let's do that again. So, I'm going to leave you with this direct challenge. Just look at your workday today. What is one small, nagging frustration you can observe? Now, what is the absolute tiniest, easiest 2-minute action you can implement to start addressing it? Don't overthink it. Just start small, celebrate that tiny win, and watch how that single action can grow into massive success.